this is a 18th century Viennese viola, and I saw this instrument about a year and a half ago. The owner had dropped it, and it ripped the neck out, and it took a crown with it, and I reset the neck. I made a new crown for it, but in the process of doing that, I realized that the top block was cracked, and there was a crack in an old patch at the top of the plate on the top, and the block was not historic. It had been a replacement, so I could easily replace that block. And the patch, I'm just going to take out the patch that exists there, and so I took the patch out and I replaced it, which that was the moment that I bought it, because when the instrument went back together, it was having a great deal of time staying glued in that area. And I don't want to say fortunately, but a year and a half later, the owner dropped the instrument. It was a horrible accident, and it got a sound post split. So that gave me the ability to, or a reason to, remove the top of the instrument again and to make a cast.
Mm-hmm. Should I be moving forward in the pictures here? Or?
Yeah, you can move forward. You can move forward.
So this is,
yeah, so you can see the remnants of my old patch that were there, the white bit. That's mine.
This is your patch.
I knew there was worm damage there, and so I sent photos to colleagues, and I said, what do I need to make this area stable? And they said, well, you either need very large strap cleats or you need a patch. And so, well, I can do patches pretty quick. Let's do a patch. So I started digging, and I didn't think worm damage was that bad. Worms are the larval state of any number of wood-boring insects, and they bore through the tops and backs and sides and blocks of instruments, essentially eating their way through cellulose, and they leave by these galleries, we call them, and they get filled with what's essentially worm crap. I think it's some form of excrement that they leave behind, and it fills up the tunnels, and they eventually work their way to the outside. And I think after they metamorphosize, they then leave and go complete the life cycle, and more eggs get laid on more pieces of wood. This generally happens to instruments that have been left unattended for years. And usually in Europe, it's rare to find an active infestation in the States. So this damage that you're looking at here is probably well over 100 years old. And looking at things that had been done to this instrument prior to this, it had been having sinking projection issues for a long time.
Can I stop you there? And
sure.
Can you explain sinking projection issues for me?
So the projection of the fingerboard over the body is kind of crucial for playability. If it gets too low, you can only lower the bridge so much before it either kills the sound or you run out of room to bow.
Yeah.
So the neck either needs to be reset, and it's taken out of the body. Multiple alterations are made to the neck root and block, and it's set back in. In some cases, when you have instruments with really puffy arching, it can't support the load. And so you have this instrument that has a really puffy arching, and it's got worm damage. Yeah, it's got.
So you're saying it's torquing forward at the neck block under the string. Correct. The string
Correct.
load. Okay.
The top is it actually the nose of the instrument, which is the part of the arch that gets higher, maybe on some instruments towards the block, it starts to go like this. It starts to creep up. And you need something there to make it stiffer. So here we are with this worm damage. If you want to click forward. And somebody asked about the tape, why I stopped early. And that's because I ran out of tape.
You ran out of tape.
I ran out of tape. I had
There
to
are
start
no
over.
there are no ancient aliens here. It's just ran out of tape.
I ran out of tape. So the tape is there to stabilize the thin skin of varnish. Tape is a more modern way of doing this. In the past, you'd see people gluing silk onto the top or paper tape. You know, the stuff, the old school stuff that you got to wet down that's got high glue on the inside.
So hold on, let me back you up. So there's varnish still here?
Oh no,
get...
that's going through, but other places,
Okay.
All that you have left is the varnish.
Okay.
Like they've eaten down right to the varnish skin, and there's nothing else there. So that tape is there to keep the varnish intact while it's being worked on. And it's
So once
also,
you
sorry.
Oh, once you put that down though, it's go time though, because if you were to pull that tape back up, would you pull that varnish right off? Or?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, to get it off, you have to soak it off with. I use a high grade of mineral spirits called Gamsol.
Gamsol.
Gamsol. You can buy it at AC Moore or Michael's. It's extremely low odor, and when you talk about chemical safety, the lower the odor of mineral spirits, generally the safer it is.
Okay.
So it is more expensive. It's like $16 for a little bottle of it, but for the amount that you're going to use and for the safety aspect of it, of working in a closed environment, and it does a better job, it's 100% worth it. Way better than buying general hardware store mineral spirits.
Okay.
So that's how you take the tape off. In the end, is you peel up a corner and you go with a Q-tip and you slowly start to work the tape off. At the end, when I needed to take that tape off, it took me a little over an hour of just patience and Q-tips and slowly pulling it back. But yeah, the reason why that the line is there on the tape is I ran out of tape.
Cool. Next picture.
Yeah, why not? So this is kind of getting ahead. One of the things that I do in my practice as a violin restorer is I use digital cutting tools. I use a 3D scanner and a CNC milling machine to make click bit parts. And if you turn on the sound, people might be able to hear it actually pop in place.
Let me see if I hold on 1 second. I'm not sure that I did. Okay, well, let me see. We're getting sound.
Yep.
I heard it. Yeah. Very nice. How satisfying is that?
Oh, it's incredibly satisfying. It's great. Yeah. Why I recorded a video of it, because it made me feel amazing.
Yeah. Triumph.
So that is wood poking through the outside. It's what would normally be called a through patch, but a through patch for violin folk is normally edges get feathered down to nothing, and that isn't quite feathered down to nothing. It's kind of got an edge to it, and it pokes up through. So I kind of jokingly refer to that as a peekaboo patch.
In the old days, before digitization, how would you have approached that patch? Would you have
with butt cheeks with butt cheeks clenched?
Yeah.
No, you would remove a lot of wood, a very large amount of wood. You might end up with a giant through patch there, just because there's nothing left.
I mean, you would never be able to mark that and fit a piece in there without the CNC.
Well, I don't want to say never, because there's people that have that sort of sadistic bent. And it's they do it, but it's not amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say no, not in the same way.
Yeah.
You can do stuff with shavings where you can get a shaving that would poke through, but again, it would be much more of a feathered edge to fill that hole, where you then would back it up by larger pieces of wood. But in general, you're going to lose a lot of original material. And when you start eroding original material, it's just like us. You know, you start carving off parts, we stop doing well. My dad lost parts of his foot as a diabetic, and the moment they started carving off one toe, things got worse. And instruments are kind of the same. The moment you start losing original material, you start needing more interventions later on.
Yeah.